Hey guys and girls, I know it's, put your tongue back in your mouth. You're on television. Put your tongue, well, you're not on television, you're on YouTube. Yeah. Put your tongue back in your mouth. I know it's Friday, and we normally post a video every Friday at 6 p.m. Central Time. And it's way later than that. It's way down past 10 o'clock. I just got back, actually, from Wisconsin. We've been in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin for the last 4 or 5 days. We actually went up there last Saturday. My buddy Jeff Shaw from O'Reilly Auto Parts, Pat Turner went up there, and we've been filming some television shows catching smallmouth bass. The best day we had, we caught over 40, and that day we caught 9 on a deep smoothie crankbait, and 3 or 4 of those were 4.5 pound fish. I caught a 5.5 pounder, almost 6 pounds on a Jimmy Houston spinnerbait. Jeff caught one almost 6 pounds on a swim bait, little swim bait with a little Lucky Strike darter head jig and a little swim bait on it. But if you look at Lucy, and I want to tell you what Chris has been doing today. Since 10 o'clock this morning, she's been in this boat building. It's pretty warm out here. We had some fans going. We turned the fans off. Look at her. She's pooching out everywhere. And she was laying out here in the boat building. Chris couldn't find her. And so she felt like she was going to have that baby today. So Chris has been out here with her all day long. And it got up to close to 100 degrees. And as you can see, she still had no baby. So we're out here. This is kind of a little bit of a maternity ward. Those of you that know the story of Lucy, when she was little, she was put in this building every night. She's a free-roaming deer, and we let her roam all during the daytime, but we kept her in this building. We kept her in this building at night, and leave the wires alone, leave the wires alone, leave the wires alone. And so we felt like that when she had the baby, she might have it in this building, and sure enough, that's what she's trying to do, but this is a long labor, I guess, because Chris has been out here with her 12 or 13 hours right now, and still no baby. She's just licking everything in sight. And she's going to, I guess she's getting ready to start licking that baby and clean it up when she has it. But anyway, I thought I might do you a real quick video and talk about spinnerbait fishing, because the biggest fish I caught up there in Wisconsin this week, we were fishing out of Beach Harbor Resort, which is a great place up there on Sturgeon Bay, and a lot of fishermen up there. My buddy Josh Jones came up also and fished 3 or 4 days. And the biggest fish I caught on a chartreuse and white spinnerbait, and it was like 5.5, 5.10, something like that. We didn't catch any of those big giant 6 and 7, 8 pounders that we wanted to catch, but mostly males, a lot of 2 and 3 pound fish, caught a lot of fish off the bed. But I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about spinnerbaits, because I get a lot of comments of people that say they just can't catch them on a spinnerbait. And a spinnerbait is not rocket science. It's an easy bait to fish. And so I thought I'd just run a few things that we've talked about, a lot of these. Obviously, probably talked about everything I'm going to talk about doing spinnerbait shows. But I just thought I'd run through a few things and give you some things to kind of keep in mind when you're spinnerbait fishing to make you a more successful spinnerbait catcher. And first of all, let's just start talking about colors of spinnerbaits. Well, chartreuse and white is the most popular spinnerbait color in the world, period. I mean, it's far and away the most popular color. What are you smelling? Huh? What are you smelling? Huh? What are you smelling? Why don't you have a baby? Why don't you go have a baby? Why don't you go have a baby? We want a video of you having a baby. Chartreuse and white, that's the most important, most popular color. Probably they sell more of these colors than all the other colors put together, to be honest with you. And I fish it a lot. I fish it an awful lot. If you just got one color spinnerbait you're going to buy, chartreuse and white. Another color that is probably the number 2 selling color is solid white. I catch a lot of fish on a solid white spinnerbait as well. Open that rascal up. A solid white spinnerbait. Another really great color right there, solid white. And now, if you'll notice, we had round blades on one and willow leaf blades on the other. I'll talk about that here in a minute, why you use one other than the other, and the color of the blades. We'll talk about that. Another color that's very, very popular that I use a lot is fire tiger. And this is a fire tiger. You know, package is out of my way. This is a fire tiger. This is a fire tiger color right here. Fire tiger is fluorescent green, fluorescent yellow, which is what we call chartreuse, and fluorescent orange. And now this one particular one that we use, the Lucky Strike, has got a little white in it too. It's more of a fire tiger color to use in clear water. But there's a couple other colors that we really don't have in our line. That's a really bright fire tiger. And so what I do, I use from Northland Tackle Company. This is a company from up in Minnesota. I think Minnesota, up there, might be Wisconsin, but it's Minnesota. And I use a bright fire tiger. And this is what it looks like when it comes out of the package. You think, well, golly, Houston, that's got a lot of orange in it. But when you put it on a bait, when you actually put that thing on a bait, and I thought I had a bait that I left a skirt off of. I don't know. Let me see if I can find. I thought I had a bait that I did not have a skirt on, and I was going to show you a couple things with that bait that did not have a skirt, but I can't find that rascal. I sure thought I had one. I don't have it laying here, do I? I know I thought I had one of those things without a skirt. Mercy, 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 mercy. What do I do here? Huh. Maybe Lucy ate it. She got a spinnerbait. Now, there's one right there. I knew I'd picked one up, but I didn't have a skirt on. And so the good thing about these baits, these skirts right here from Northland, they got a little collar on them up here, and everything's made into that collar. It doesn't have a rubber band on it. So all you do is just turn it over backwards. You want to install your skirts backwards. So you install it backwards. It's going to sit on there like that. Now you see now when you do that, it's not bright orange so much anymore because you got all your chartreuse and your fluorescent green up on top. And so that's a great fire tiger color right there. Now another color that I just really won thousands and thousands and tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of dollars on, chartreuse blue and white. I'm going to tell you, talk about a killer color, chartreuse blue and white. And I usually run this on a chartreuse head or a white head. And on this, again, same thing, turn it upside down and turn it over. When you do that, this is what you got. That's what it looks like right there. You come up and you've got a chartreuse white and blue. And you want them flaring out like that. That's exactly what you want. That's why you reverse them and put them on upside down like that. That's exactly the way you want to put a skirt on. Now, I haven't slid it all the way up. You want to go ahead and slide it all the way up, but I'm going to pull it off. So I just wanted to show you that right there. Now, this color right here, if you'll take and look at shad, threadfin shad or gizzard shad or alewife shad, if you'll hold them and put them in your hand and move them around the sunlight, you'll see a blue tint come off of them. And that's the reason that I put blue in with chartreuse. Back when I was younger, we didn't have blue and chartreuse skirts at all. And when I did the tricolor combination of blue, chartreuse, and white, I just come up with a dynamite color. The fish don't see very much. And really not many companies make them. Not many color companies make that skirt. So that's been kind of one of my secrets over the years. Not a secret, I've told everybody, but not many people use it, not many people throw them. Chartreuse, white, and blue. Excellent, excellent color. Excellent, excellent color. All right, those are my colors that I use. This fire tiger, used most of the time when the fish are feeding on crawfish. Use it in a lot of dingy or really dirty water, Blades, talking about blades. First thing to remember on blades, of course, is round blades, create a lot of vibration. Willow leaf blades create a lot of flash. So if you're wanting a blade to vibrate a lot, you want to use round. You want to get a lot of flash in clear water, muddier water on round, clear water on the willow leaf. But here's the deal on round blades. They're going to vibrate a lot. Now we designed our willow leaf blades where they vibrate and thump more than any willow leaf blades out there. I mean, once you throw this bait out there in the water with that willow leaf blade on it, you're going to notice a huge difference of any other spinnerbait. So it vibrates a lot, but it's mostly for flash on that blade. But here's the deal. If you build a light wire spinnerbait like we do, and the heavier the wire is, the less the bait's going to vibrate. If we build a real light wire spinnerbait, so this bait really vibrates a lot. So as that blade is turning in the water, it's really vibrating a lot. Now that means that it's putting a lot of pressure on that bend right there, and as it vibrates and does that, and you catch fish and it gets bent around, you're going to break more of these baits than you break with a willow leaf blade. So you're going to catch more fish probably on a bait that vibrates a lot, but you can buy a spinnerbait that's got real heavy wire on there and it's probably never going to break, but you won't catch very many fish on it. So you want a light wire spinnerbait, but keep this in mind. These spinnerbaits cost about $5, $6 a piece. If you catch 8 or 10 or 15 fish on this and it breaks, you got your money's worth. You buy a package of 10 worms and you catch 6 or 7 fish on that package of 10 worms, you think you've done pretty good. And especially some of the real soft worms that catch a lot of fish that we have on the market today. So, don't worry about those spinnerbaits breaking. In fact, if you're using them in a tournament, after I catch 8 or 10, I'll put on a brand new one every time. I start with brand new ones every single day. Thankfully, I'm not fishing any tournaments anymore, and I guess I say that thankfully. But I really don't miss them, haven't missed them so far. But, of course, they haven't had many this year with all the coronavirus. But anyway, I don't worry about the baits breaking. It's not any big deal when one breaks. I'll just use them until they break. And I might catch 30 or 40 fish. I might catch 10. But a lot depends on how much that wire bends around and how much you throw in between fish. Willow leaf blades, again, a willow leaf blade, you can throw those almost forever and never break one. I want to talk about speed of a spinnerbait. How fast should you pull those things? Well, one of the key things to remember, and it's probably the most important, is the slower you pull that spinnerbait through a junction area, the area, or not through a junction area, but a potential strike zone area, the area that you think you got a good chance to get a bite. Now, you make a long cast out there, but you may only have a foot or 6 or 8 inches or 4 or 5 inches where you have a real good potential to get a strike. When you come through that potential strike zone area, slow that bait down as slow as you can and pull it through there. Now, I don't mean let it fall down on the bottom. You might still be keeping it right up on top, but slow it down. Keep it in that strike zone area as long as you possibly can. And most of the fish that I catch on a spinnerbait, I catch with the spinnerbait up in sight where I can see it. A good rule of thumb, if you want to just figure out how deep to throw your spinnerbait, fish your spinnerbait where you can just barely see it, depending on the color of the water. It might be a foot deep, it might be 5, 6, 7 foot deep, where you can barely see it or it barely disappears in the water. That's a good depth to start out. That's a good depth to fish with. But now, I fish it up closer to the surface because, again, vibration. You get more vibration fishing that spinnerbait up close to the top. And one of the reasons, if you got that spinnerbait up close to the top, your vibration that's going out will hit the top of the water, and some of them will escape into the air, others will bounce back. And so when you run a bait close to the top of the water, you're getting the maximum amount of vibration out of it. Now, another way to get a little bit more vibration out of that spinnerbait is to open this angle up. Most of them, well, you saw me take these out of the package. These came right out of the package. That's about a 45-degree angle right there, is about the way most of them are built. And that's a good angle to fish at. There's nothing wrong with that angle. But if you want to increase the vibration of that bait, willow leaf or a round blade, it makes no difference. You want to increase the vibration, open up that angle and move that angle up to about, 65, 70%. Now, you've done 2 things when you do that. One, you've increased the vibration on both a willow leaf and a round blade. You've increased the vibration. And so the other thing you've done is you've opened up a much larger area for that bass to get the hook. On this round blade right here, your blade's going to be turning right above the hook. A bass is going to come up there, and when they come up and get that, if his upper part of his mouth hits that blade, a lot of times he won't close his mouth on it. So you get a really hard strike, you set the hook, you don't catch the fish. Down in the angle when it comes out of the package, get one that just come out of the package. I haven't been around. Maybe that one, I don't know. Yeah, you see that one? You see the angle on that? How much room you got in between here? That's about a 45. The one that I opened up, you see that? You've actually doubled the size of the area the fish has got to come up and get that bait without his upper lip hitting on that blade. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to not shut their mouth every time, but some of those really vicious strikes you get is because the bass' upper lip has hit that blade as it was spinning, and it just kept him from shutting his mouth on that bait. He shuts his mouth on him, you set the hook, you're going to catch him just about every single time. So that's some of the things to think about speed. One of the key places to fish this thing is junction areas. You want to fish in junction areas where one thing meets another. Where a log, if you got a log and limbs come out of the log, come on, baby, have that baby, yeah. But where a limb comes in and joins the log, that's a junction area where the limb meets the log. Where the end of the log meets the rest of the lake, that's a junction area. A junction area of a corner of a boat dock. Where one part of a bottom changes to another. Gravel changes to mud or something like that. Where muddy water eats clear water. Anytime you have 2 things that come together, that's a junction area. Those are the areas you want to concentrate on. And I think a good rule of thumb is junction areas in shallow water that are close to deep water. That's just kind of a good rule of thumb when you're out there looking and fishing. Fish the heaviest possible cover you can find. Sometimes the heaviest possible cover might not be anything other than a 1 stick up. But it might be a really gnarly brush pile the size of my Pennzoil table here. But fish the heaviest possible cover you can find close to deep water. That's exactly what you want to do. Another thing in working these baits is that you want to make them run into something as much as you possibly can. We call it bumping the stump. Now, not necessarily a stump. You can bump a log, you can bump the corner of a boat dock, you can do all kinds of things with it. But what we're doing is we're hitting something to make that bait make a funny movement. We call that a deflection. And what we're looking for is a deflection strike. So when it hits something, it kind of moves over a little bit, makes a little bit of noise when it hits something. That creates a strike a lot of times. So you want to run into stuff with that. Now, when you want to run into something, you don't want to let the spinnerbait roll over and get hung up. When you run into something, you want to go ahead as you run into it, keep it going so it just hits off. deflects off and keeps on moving. Now, if you're not going to let it hit anything, you can actually just pop your rod tip every now and then, cause that bait to do that on its own without even bumping into anything. You create a fake deflection, kind of like the news they talk about. You create a fake deflection. So that works really, really good too. Vibration, I've talked about how key vibration is and being able to open that thing up. Speaking about how you want to throw your bait, if possible, you want to bring your bait into the front of the fish. So that means if you've got a lake that's got current or a river that's got current, you want to throw and bring your bait down with the current because the fish is going to be facing into it. Think about that the way the wind's blowing also. If you're fishing shallow water, wind's coming this way, the fish is going to be looking this way. So he's going to be looking into the wind. The water's down a little deeper where the waves hit the bank and comes back out. He's going to be looking in toward the bank because he's going to be looking into the current. If you look at fish, like if you go to a Bass Pro Shop or a Cabela's and you see those fish in the tank, you'll notice the bass are all facing one direction. They're not facing all different directions. They're facing one direction, and that's just exactly the same way they do in the lake. And so think about that when you're fishing a spinnerbait. You want your bait coming to the front of that fish, not coming back behind him. Oh, there's a bait. Where'd that go? You want it coming so he sees it coming. You want it coming in front of him, exactly what you want to be doing. Let's talk just real quickly about trailers. I use these little twin tail trailers. These are little Lucky Strike twin tail trailers. Basically, I use white, or I use chartreuse, or I use a kind of a clear color, I use white probably more than any other color. I add trailers for a couple, 2 or 3 reasons. One is to enhance the color, add some extra color. Fishing maybe a chartreuse bait, I might add a white skirt to it. Fishing a white bait, I might add a chartreuse skirt. I use trailers to make baits larger. And sometimes early in the spring, I'll use maybe a really, really long, big trailer to make a big, gaudy bait is exactly what I'll do. And so the trailers can make your bait larger. It enhances color. But the main reason that I add a trailer is if I'm having fish hit the bait with their mouth closed or they're missing it. For some reason, if you're doing that, if you're fishing just a spinnerbait, what I call naked, so it's just got a skirt, it's got no trailer, no plastic, nothing on it. You're not naked, the spinnerbait's naked. But you got nothing on it there. So if I'm having fish come up and hit it and miss it, I'll add a trailer. Usually that will solve that problem. I don't know exactly why. Got a lot of theories on that. Won't bore you with those right now. But if you'll add a trailer when you're missing fish, a lot of times that will solve your problem. Trailer hooks. Let's talk about trailer hooks real quickly. And to be honest with you, this little idea here about trailer hooks is only for you tournament guys. I do not use trailer hooks I do not use trailer hooks if I'm just fishing for the fun of it. Just don't do it. I just don't do it. And in fact, most of the time I'm fishing for the fun of it, I use barbless. And while we're talking about barbless, let me just do this right here and show you something. Here's what I do on barbless. This hook's got a barb on it. So in other words, you see that right there, catches my finger right there on that barb. Here's the way you make a change a hook to barbless. Just take you a pair of needle nose, just come in here and just smash down on that. Be careful and stay off of the end of that hook. And you want to have it, now you see right there, my finger's not hanging on that. You want to make that as smooth as a baby's bottom right there. But now don't get on that hook and break that point. If you do that, you just will throw that spinnerbait away. So you don't get out on that hook, but you want that smooth as a baby's bottom right there. Now, to add the trailer, when I add a trailer, by the way, you want that trailer, go ahead and hook it through there and come out about that egg sac. So these are right square in the middle of that hook. That's exactly what you want to do right there, right square in the middle of that hook. So when I add a trailer hook, all I'm going to do is I take, I got a hook down here. I don't have a hook. I take and use a regular hook, just like it's on the bait, the number 4/0 hook, and all I'll do is slide that over the top like that. Now, I don't want that solid with a little rubber tube or something on that where that hook won't move around. I want that hook to flop around and move. Excuse me. If you have that solid, it's really not going to do you that much good. It's not going to really help you that much. So I want it to flop around. Now, the way that I keep that on there, I use these little plastic trailers. You can buy keepers. I make my own. I take it and just slide it down on there. Now, be careful when you slide this down on there and don't get hooked, because you want one that's really kind of tight. You want to use like a number 12 or 14 wire. Just buy you a piece of wire, some wire, or get some out of your garage, out of your shop. And you want to slide it over that barb. Now that will keep that trailer hook from flying, but you want that trailer hook to flop around. That'll keep it from coming off right there. And the way I do that, I did like that's just a piece of rubber coating or plastic coating that's over wire, 12 or 14 gauge wire. and pull the wire out, cut you a little strip. I usually cut them about that long. I've just used a lot of that. Take your scissors, pull the wire out, take your scissors, make you little small ones like this. That just happened to be a piece of red wire. Don't be eating my shirt, Lucy. Don't eat my shirt. Lucy, you're supposed to be going in and having a baby. Yeah. She said, well, get out of my maternity ward. It's hot in here, too. It's hot. It's hot in here. It's hot in here. But anyway, that's the way I attach the trailer hook. And like I said, to be honest with you, I fish barbless hooks pretty much all the time. Now that I'm fishing tournaments, I probably will very seldom put a trailer hook on. I mean, I probably will very seldom do it. I might do it someplace down in Bacharach where I've got a chance to catch a 11 or 12 pound fish, and I don't want to make sure I catch every one of them that bite. But most of the time, I don't care if that fish gets off or not. And it doesn't bother me a bit. But anyway, that's a few situations on a trailer hook that you want to think about the blades. I want to mention one other thing because I've got kind of a specialty bait up here. This is a little bit different blade. This is one that my buddy Ricky Klun likes to use a lot. And it's called a Ricky Klun Trickster, also made by Lucky Strike. And the big difference on this bait, this is a 3/4 ounce bait. It's made to fish a little slower and deeper. And the big difference on this bait is the blades. It's got Indiana blades on it as opposed, let's say Jimmy Houston on that too? No, it says Trickster. Should say Jimmy Houston on it. But anyway, that's the situation there on that. And now, Ricky, they put a little bend on there, but I would open that thing up a little bit still, move that up, open that up, open me up a little wider area in there for that bass to get to it. And but the situation here, you've got, he uses a gold and a nickel blade. Now, I usually will use a gold blade on the end, a nickel on the shaft. When I'm fishing twin willow leaf, I'll fish twin gold a lot. I'm not sure it makes much difference to the fish. Kind of like personal preference. What I do in blade colors, and sometimes I'll use white or red or chartreuse, and I'll use some of the Spike It has got some dip and dye that's blade dip that you can dip your blades in and make them various colors. It works really, really well. I use a lot of different Spike It products to color up lures and worms, plastic worms and spinnerbaits and blades and whatever I need to color up. I use them, I use about every product they got. I use their dip and dye pins, work real good. But that's kind of a specialty spinnerbait right there. It's made to fish slow and deep, and it really, really works well. Ricky did one thing good. He put my sort of patented red eyes on that, and that's a really good situation on that right there. But boys and girls, that's kind of a great way, some great little tips about spinnerbaits. The biggest thing with spinnerbaits is keep them wet. Keep them wet, keep them wet. As long as you throw spinnerbaits, you're going to be catching fish on it. I don't know if Lucy's going to have her baby tonight or not. We're not going to hang in here with her but a couple more hours. We might come back out here tomorrow and she might have a little baby or two, and we sure hope so because we want to share that blessed event with you for sure. Lucy's become just everybody's darling. Certainly I love Lucy, and Lucy loves me. And even when she is a pest and tries to eat my shirt, when she chews the wires in two out here, I rewired everything in this shop. The reason that animals chew on wires because they make that coating on the wire. These wires, they make that out of peanut oil. It's what I'm told by people that work for the telephone company. And that's why squirrels chew them, mice chew them. That's why you have stuff go out electrically that the mice chew on, because they think it's peanut oil. So you can't blame the animals. I can't blame Lucy for doing that. I just wire them back up. I just hope that she doesn't electrocute herself. But hopefully we'll have a baby here in the next day or two. We'll be right back here Sunday afternoon for the chat. It's going to be really late before we get this thing up tonight, but we didn't want to miss the Friday at all. Guys and girls, if you're not subscribed to Jimmy Houston Outdoors YouTube, subscribe. We got over 50,000 subscribers on there right now. If you're not on the Catch of the Day daily devotional and a fishing tip and a scripture, get on that Catch of the Day channel. We put a video up there at 5 o'clock every morning, 7 days a week, every single day of the year. So share these things with your friends. Let's get this thing on up there to 100 pretty quickly. We got some stuff coming up from Sturgeon Bay within the next week or so you want to be watching for. Also got some crappie fishing and bass fishing with Richard Jean, the fishing machine. And what a great friend he has become. Guys and girls, I love you.